1 BTC and 32 ETH. Join the Discord to learn more.
Welcome back, hard forkers, to 1 Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum. There's lots of bad news, but the good news is it's now cheaper to get to 1 Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum. Isn't that right, boys?
Yeah.
Look, I know there's lots of upset people out there today. We'll give you our thoughts on what's going on. But first, meme of the week. We haven't had a meme of the week for a while. We need to cheer everybody up here a wee bit. But Stefano, first, should we be worried? Should we be upset? When we first started the show, I think Ethereum was, what was it? It was less than $300. Bitcoin was around 10K. So look, in those terms, we're still massively up. But what do you think's going on? Lots of panic out there.
To be honest, I think that now, I always sounds like the bad guy in these things, isn't it? But I think that this proves once again how delusional everybody is. We had like 3-4 months where we were going like parabolic up, and now that like we're going a little bit down and everything. We're in what, like a 66% retrace and so on, correction like that. So, you know, it's quite okay in my personal opinion. I don't see the negativity that I'm seeing on Twitter and and kind of like on a lot of people, to be honest. This morning alone, I sold a squiggle, which is an AI made paint for like $500. Like, you know, it's, to me, the market is still absolutely healthy. Like I'm not seeing any problem. Play to earn is still good. NFTs are still absolutely fine. The pre-sales on things like the Wax blockchain, for example, some of the projects over there are easily doing like a 3, 4, 5, 6x in a matter of like a couple of days. A lot of projects that are doing things with utility that are in the communities that are actually using the projects are super healthy at the moment. Like I'm really not seeing anything bad. I'm actually happy on the situation where the market is, because like everybody that was after like the 10x, the 20x, the 50x, the TA and all of that things are completely wrecked, and now they're crying. And I'm very happy for that, because I say multiple times that I think that it's absolutely ridiculous to go into that direction. Anybody else that is spending day after day in the space are still super healthy. So yeah, I mean, you want to be worried, be my guest, but I'm not. I'm really not, to be honest.
You know, I've moved from being an active investor to more of a passive investor. So, you know, my sentiments are very close to Stefano's. You know, if you're in good projects with good communities and utility, it's just like, oh, look, another dip, if you even notice it.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've still got my passives going on the stuff that we talked about last week. Took a couple hits there. It seems like everything's dipping again.
We're actually, you mentioned passive, second half of the show today, people. We're getting back to reviewing projects on this show. It has been a theme of the show. We'll have a quick look at the other projects we've reviewed now. Mr. Gonzo, if you can bring that up. And as I say, second half of the show, we're going to be looking at Coinflex. I've had 5 calls today from people who are clearly frustrated by what's going on in crypto, and they want to move into stable coins. So it's something we're going to look at in a few minutes. So stay with us. Okay, so
perfect timing. Yes.
What do we got? These are all the projects that we have looked at on the show over the last, I think it's around 8 or 9 months now. So, yep, the top 2 there, actually still hugely up from the donated value that we initially got. Arga is still up a couple 100%. Then we sort of fall off a cliff here a wee bit at the moment on the next 4. Staying on the positives, Ethereum's still up 100% since we got it. And look, Hex, that's been really one of our better performers. And moving on here. Oh, okay. So pirate chain. To all the pirates out there, well done. That's kind of held. It seems to have found a little bit of a price point. Would you say, guys, around the sort of $4 to $6 range? I'm still holding it.
Still up 5,000%.
One of the reasons I'm still holding it is I do think the privacy coins will potentially play a role if we get slammed by regulation. And I know regulation is just so utterly frustrating and boring to talk about, but look, we've got this one today, people. This is clearly having a bit of an effect on the market. I know some mining operations in China shut down in the last 48 hours and the hash rate went off a cliff. So look, I'm sure that's had an effect on the price and this dip, dump, whatever you want to call it, that we are seeing. But also this article here, China banks must block crypto transactions. So yeah, look, the China FUD, it's just been around since I've been in this space, but it looks pretty serious, pretty real. Look, China is China. They are clearly trying to put capital controls in here. They don't want outflows of their residents' savings. So look, my thoughts go out to the Chinese people who quite clearly want to be part of this space, but that looks to be getting more and more difficult for them. Quick thoughts on this one, guys?
Stupid, because like right there, the last line, China, you closed it. If you scroll down, it said, all this is just them reiterating the ban that they've had. So this is not new news. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
This is like, hey, let's pump out another headline and watch everybody freak out. It's retarded.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's fairly safe to assume at this point, though, that it is going to be very difficult for people in that country. Crypto is stateless money. In the case of Bitcoin, to a large degree, Ethereum as well. That's just simply not appealing to the people that run China. I think we all get that. So
it's a little bit different. Sorry for that, but like China always had like those rules. Forget crypto for a second, because like it's exactly the same thing where like people are like screaming of like the holy grail when we're talking about like El Salvador and so on. Like China's been doing policies like that where like if you were a Chinese person, you were not allowed to take out capital, even like traditional fiat and traditional money for specific amounts. Here is, it's you looked at in one way or another, but it's the same soup as we got before. How were people doing that in the past, or how are people doing those type of things when they're not allowed to move capital around? They use offshore companies, for example. It's here is going to be the same thing. There are a lot of Chinese VCs and Chinese companies that are into cryptos that do have entities in other parts of the world, and that's how they run their operations and their business. Like it's the classic thing that when there is a rule come in place, there is also a backdoor already put in place. It's always been like that in every single thing. And once again, if we're looking at just the headlines and we want to scream at the end of the world, the doomsday and so on, then be my guest. Let's go ahead and let's all scream on the FUD, because that's basically like what those articles are doing at that point. And that's what majority of the people are screaming at. But in reality, things like that has always been happening, and people has always find solutions around these problems.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Mr. Gonzo, just because you are Canadian, and we have had BYBIT as a sponsor in the past. We're hoping to have them back again. It's a platform I use. I've just actually entered another trade on it. If you are an experienced trader, please help support this channel and use our link below. I know some traders are having an absolute field day trading this range at the moment. So You know, it depends on what sort of person you are, an investor, speculator, trader, gambler. But look, good luck to you, whichever it is. But comments on this one, guys. Do you have any information? I've heard a wee bit out of Canada lately. So here, this article, BYBIT becomes the latest crypto platform to be targeted by the Canadian securities regulator. What's happening in your old country, Mr. Gonzo? Are they trying to run the crypto people out of town?
Sean.
I know they've got a vaccine passport they're looking to implement shortly. We're all going to be on a database soon, people, and they're going to be nice. Looking forward to that, aren't we? Woohoo!
Awesome.
Total control coming your way soon. Up to you what you want to do about it. I know what a lot of crypto people are doing. They're moving to countries that are going to be pretty damn friendly to the way they want to live their lives. I actually heard a horrible story yesterday about some crypto guys getting run out of an island because the local police tried to extort money out of them. So they left. They went somewhere else more friendly. Things are getting bad out there, people, when the police are basically extorting you. But yeah, I'm not going to mention the country. I'm not going to mention the people, but it was a rather large amount of people that were involved in this. So big fat fuck you to the people involved in extorting people. So yeah, anyway, that's my ramble for today. Jordan, thoughts on this one?
If you're an experienced trader and you want to use our ref link, don't if you're from Canada, basically.
Yeah, true. Or the US for that matter.
But, you know, this news, it's not it says Canadian, but actually it's just Ontario, which is OSC is the Ontario Security Commission. So it says, you know, they've taken action. They're like threatening a fine for every bit of compliance that they're not following. It's like $1 million. I mean, just sounds like a slap on the wrist and more fun to me, you know,
yeah.
Because like the fine, it seems inconsequential when you look at some of the volumes that these exchanges are doing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just standard regulation, you know, all blowing, blustery, wind and not much substance behind it.
Yeah. Look, I am concerned. I'm not going to lie. I am very concerned about how regulation will play out. Will we see some of these centralized exchanges sequestered? Will our funds get frozen, etc.? The bulk of my holdings are in DeFi platforms, so that's not a major concern for me. But look, it's another article here I just wanted to share. Look, it's another, you know, I don't want to FUD here, but, you know, the whole Tether issue, I think, seems to be starting to rear its head again. I found this one quite interesting, that Strike, this is Jack Mallers. We've spoken about this a couple of times recently. He was very instrumental in getting the Bitcoin law passed in El Salvador. He's been down there working with those guys for a long time. So he's basically got a company called Strike to Payment Rail, and they are saying that Tether is no longer part of anything for what they're doing down there. So let's see why Jack's had to, why he said that. Basically, Tether was part of the plan originally because it had to be, because they didn't have a choice. So, look, this is a pretty good segue. As I say, I've had a bunch of people contact me this morning asking about stable coins, yield on them. Clearly, people are looking for safe havens, it would be a way to put it, in the crypto space at the moment. So a lot of people sort of going into Tether. Yeah, I mean, look, that is a concern for me. You know, is Tether properly backed? So I think that's a good segue today, guys. We spoke with the CEO of Coinflex. Now, there's a link below to that interview with this guy. I thought he's a very impressive man. We're going to be trialing that platform over the coming weeks on the show, giving you our independent thoughts on the use of their stablecoin, the interest we can get from it, the governance token, which is the Flex coin, and basically the utility of that platform. We'll approach it from different angles and give you our thoughts. So look, on that note, guys, should we have a bit of a dive into this platform? The standard spot exchange, everybody, then they've got a physical delivery swap contract. Now, this is actually quite interesting because what these guys are saying is that they are actually physically delivering the crypto. Now, why is that important? Let's jump back into the white paper.
Can I ask the retard question? How do you physically deliver a crypto contract?
Well, they actually take possession. They take custody of the asset. So it's not a futures market, which is where most of the action is happening in Bitcoin. There is no physical delivery. So it's these guys. Backed is the other sort of exchange that does that physically delivered Bitcoin. So they're actually buying the asset, to answer your question. So basically, the reason behind that is a legal one. So you can go into their white paper. There's a link below. But effectively what they're saying here is FinCEN, which is the US, it's a US financial regulator, FATFA, which is the global regulator. They sit up there with the IMF. I'm not sure that FATFA actually makes law. They basically advise central banks on policy. But effectively what they're saying is they are able to operate as they do because of the fact that they are taking physical deliveries. Stefano, do you have any comments around that?
Well, that is the complicated part. So like basically like what they've been mentioning is the fact that because they under the specific law, they're doing this, the settlement is done in a specific way that is like within the 28 days. They do not have to do the full reporting. And so like that's kind of like a workaround on the traditional law. So the depositing, the reporting and everything is not happening in the same way because they're not legally required to do that. That's at least what the guys mentioned. And so that basically allowed them to operate in a way that traditionally exchange cannot do without having the need of a license. They're basically like bypassing that need. So they don't need the license or being regulated. Again, this is what the founder is saying. You can watch the long interview to double check and verify it on that in case needed.
Yep. Okay. So these are the other things that we can do on this exchange. You can see us doing that in the coming weeks. We'll individually show you how we're allocating the funds we have on this platform. Stefano, any other initial thoughts on this and how you potentially will be using it moving forward?
Well, it's obviously not a product for me. I am not the type of user. I'm a person that goes like on DeFi and doesn't like to like sign up on things and etc. That's again like come out from the interview where the co-founders mentioned that like in a couple of weeks, couple of months, they're going to allow the coins to actually being deposited on MetaMask when bypassing all that centralized part.
And that's what we're looking at here, right? This Notes Finance, where you can connect directly to your MetaMask, where the funds would be held in your MetaMask. So you're in custody of that asset while using the platform.
Well, as of today, you are not in custody because like, and that's again, like going back on the long-term interview, he has mentioned that like the custodian part right now is done entirely by them. And like in the long run, like, you know, couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever that feature will be released, they are going to distribute that. And so they're going to be like a fully decentralized and distributed custodian approach. How is that going to sit on from a legal point? That is a completely different question. But from that point ongoing, they will allow basically like the user to own in their wallet the underlying assets and therefore like the nodes, the stable coins and all of that stuff. That's when like it become interesting for me. Nothing against on the platform, simply that I'm not a centralized user. I mentioned that many times. I don't even have an account on Binance, so yep. It's really not my thing.
Okay. Mr. Gonzo, you have been a prolific trader in your time. You're also looking for yield on your assets. Your thoughts on this platform initially, before we get in there and actually use it? How are you likely to use it? What are your initial thoughts from our chat with the founder?
It sounded really cool what he was talking about. Actually getting into it, I don't know, I'm a little bit like overwhelmed. There's Note and Flex USD and pools here and pools everywhere. Just trying to weed through it and figure out which is the best options. Because, yeah, it's all new, but just sorting through it. I mean, there's all these liquidity pools there, and my Flex isn't showing. But that DEX, you can only use Flex USD. So how do I get my Flex onto the DEX? It doesn't read on the DEX.
Because Flex and Flex USD are two different coins.
They're two different things. So the Flex token is effectively the governance token. Let's have a look at that. So this is effectively what's powering the platform. If you're staking these other coins, you were paid out in the Flex token. So I've actually converted my Flex token into Flex USD. So I'm likely to stake that, see how that goes.
That's the question. I said, where?
You do that on the exchange.
Oh, so you can't do it on the DEX. So that's weird. You can't use Flex on the DEX because I couldn't find it. But that's the exchange that you register. And then,
yep. Yep. So, yeah, there's actually a lot to unpack here. We did just receive these tokens last night, so it'll be next week that we'll report back to you in detail about how we're using it. But if we have a look at the tokenomics here, Stefano, maybe if you want to give us your thoughts on the tokenomics.
So it's a little bit of like a Matryoshka model, unfortunately, where you get basically like your two different tokens, which are like the Flex USD, which is the stable coin, which is the easy part, at least, because like that is pegged on the USDC, or basically like on the long-term interview, you can also like mint that on using Bitcoin or Ethereum. So similar in the same way that you would like create a DAI token, for example, on MakerDAO. That specific Flex USD is also like a stable coin that has like an interest rate inside, because it's connected to the repo that is generating like from the exchange from that side. Then you got like the note, and the note is basically like a loan in that specific case, that represent basically like the repo that is being put on the centralized exchange. You get like different nodes, so it's not like a general token, but you got like different type of nodes based on like the months and like how it's going like on the exchange, the type of like activities that are doing and so on. Traditionally, these tokens, like at least like from the website right now, they are generating around an 8% per year APY, plus they're taking also like a fee on basically like the trading that is happening inside the exchange. So you got like the two different approach. They have two different fees. And basically like these two tokens combined, the Note and the Flex USD, at that point are basically like producing, so the return that comes out from that, it's the Flex coin. And the Flex coin is the governance token. So think about that in a way of like when you're providing an LP, for example, on QuickSwap, and you're taking your fee of what is happening on the LP, on the tradings and all of that. But at the same time, there is also an issuance of the Quick token. So here's is very similar. You get that additional Flex coin that it's basically like their governance token. Now, if we're looking at like the white paper and so on, the Flex coin is a governance token, but it's a governance token that carries also other type of features. And they mentioned, for example, that in the long run, they're planning of taking one part of the funds to actually like repurchase tokens of the market. So that's similar to like, for example, what Kyber network is doing. And then they're also planning of like using those fees and those profits to distribute that among the Flexcoin holders. And that's similar to like what Qcoin, for example, is doing with their Qcoin token. Yeah, that's pretty much like the model. You enter one thing, you got your fees from your return from that, like on the Flex USD, for example, and then you got like an extra thing, which is the Flex coin, which is the government token, and that government token carries additional features on top of that.
Yep. And I believe that you can also use the Flex coin as the collateral for trading on the platform as well. So look, there's a lot to unpack on this one. Okay, so look, I know many of you are panicking out there, judging by the messages and calls I've had this morning. I think top of the show, Stefano had mentioned, look, this market's still buoyant. People are in no way, shape, or form, in my opinion, are we in a bear market. As always, get in there, try things, use them. We're seeing massive growth in the projects we're involved in. I'm still extremely positive. The tone of my voice might not suggest that, but that is indeed the case. Yeah. So look, be in control of your emotions, whether you're trading, investing, or if you're gambling, you might be having a bit of a tough time at the moment. Mr. Gonzo, any closing thoughts from you?
Not really, man. Just hanging in there, doing my thing, pushing forward, building the stuff that we started. Keep going. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Just ride the waves up and down.
Yeah. On that note, to the Axie community, we've got, I've sent out 2 teams this morning, creating some more for the rest of the day. So we've got more coming up there. We're looking to bring more people into the program with us as well. So on that note, we are looking for good community managers. Thank you to Jazzy for all the work she is putting in. But yeah, we may well need another person to help. So if you are a part of the community, please get in touch. Yeah, we're really looking to ramp up what we're doing in that space. And any quick updates on Nine Chronicles for us, Stefano?
They've had like quite an ongoing problems with the mining and everything. So the issues are still there. They're really fixing what's happening. But basically, like if you were in the space for like the past 10 days, I would say mining has been like very choppy, as well as like trying to play the game, because like the validations of the blocks are like not in place. So right now is like a moment where they're fixing their problems. The good news is that they're getting to terms with that. They've like now proposed like some options that like they're discussing with the community to see like if people agrees on that or not. So the bad news is that problems are there. The good news is that once again it shows that the decentralized aspects is still in place, because they're actually talking with the community and everybody's actually having the option of sharing their opinions and like of making a proper vote on that. Apart from that, the number of players has been increasing. A lot of new people as jumping into the game, because ideally it's a good game. It works. Might be not your genre. It might not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine. That's the beauty of games. That's why we have different styles and different things. But apart from that, like the growth is good. Then you see that also like on the marketplace, on the peer-to-peer marketplace that they have on Discord. The overall price point of the Nine Chronicles Gold, their token, has been slightly increasing. Nothing too crazy, but it's one of those signs that like it's going up, especially when everything else is red in the market. It shows once again that the communities that are delivering, the communities that are building, the communities that are actually having activities happening not related to the prize are not getting any bad feeling on situations like this with the red candles, the blood in the street, like all the classic things that we mention all the time. And it's not only Nine Chronicles. You see that with other things. Like last Friday we review Yoshi Coin. You check the price on Yoshi Coin, bam, it's stable. It's not increasing, but it's not going down neither. You see Blankets, which I played yesterday on stream, and a person just flipped a Blankets for a 50% increase on a 50 minutes time frame. Bought a Blankets, increased the price of 50%, flip that on a matter of 50 minutes. Like it goes down to, once again, you need to stop looking at, the shilling, the crypto tweeters, the next coin that is going to moon, and all of this stuff. Like, it's been 8 months at this point that I'm saying always the same thing. This proves it once again that, I don't have any issue whatsoever with the market right now. And while the entire world is screaming that we're in a bear, that the market is over, that we're doomed and blah, blah, I'm not seeing that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, look, they're really good thoughts. And just to sort of add to that, maybe it's a good opportunity for you if you have been that speculator or gambler to maybe reassess how you are approaching this market. It's not financial advice. It's up to every individual to decide how they are playing it. The bulk of my holdings are in hodl positions. So yeah, look, it's not nice watching it go down, but even the small amount that I do trade with, the emotions really do take over. You got to be careful with tight stop losses and then buying back these things at higher prices, which I know from my experience in 2017, that was indeed the case. So, have a bit of a think about how you are approaching this market. We are here to help. So, drop your questions in our Discord or below this video. And look, good luck to you all. Mr. Gonzo, final thoughts from you?
No more final thoughts other than what we just talked about. I'm all good. I think we're still here. Still be here another 5 years. So let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, as I say, next week we'll be doing a full rundown of how we've used the Coinflex platform. So looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. I'll be back with these two guys on Friday for our live show. Join us there with your questions. And if you're interested in Axie Infinity, make sure you're part of that stream. Also, there's more teams coming your way. Tomorrow, I'll be back with Baloo. For those of you that want to talk price, we've got a TA show with them, and with Jesse and Leanne on Thursday. Best of luck to you all out there. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Cheers now.
1 BTC and 32 ETH.